The lawyer's voice slices the air like a guillotine. The entirety of the Hale estate, assets, and holdings, valued at approximately $40 million, is hereby transferred to his son, Paul Hale. Gasps ripple across the oak-paneled room, but none heavier than the one that escapes the young woman at the end of the table. Her hands grip the chair until her knuckles whiten, her chest heaving as if the words have punched the air out of her. $40 million. Every brick, every cent, every trace of her father's empire, gone to her brother. Nothing left for her. Not a home, not a penny. Paul leans back in his chair, movements deliberate, slow, savoring the moment. His cufflinks glint, his smirk grows, and his eyes, sharp, merciless, lock onto his sister's face. He doesn't flinch at her pain. He bathes in it. Nothing? Her voice cracks, barely holding itself together. Not even a small share? The lawyer clears his throat, eyes downcast, his tone stripped of sympathy. Your father's instructions were clear. The entire estate passes to Paul Hale. Paul finally speaks, his words silk stretched over steel. You heard him. Every word Father wrote was intentional. This empire was never yours. It was mine from the beginning. Her breath falters, and Paul, I have nothing left. Please, I'm your sister. A laugh cuts through the air, jagged and cruel. Sister, family, don't make me laugh. Survival isn't a gift. It's earned, and you haven't earned a thing. The lawyer gathers the papers with slow, uneasy hands, but the silence afterward is deafening. Paul rises, smooth as a king leaving his throne. Meeting adjourned. His footsteps echo like a verdict stamped into stone. She stays frozen in her chair, tears spilling unchecked. Around her, the walls feel like they're closing in, suffocating, pressing until even breathing is an effort. The man who shared her childhood meals, who once laughed with her in the garden, now stands as her executioner. Paul has claimed everything, leaving her only grief, despair, and humiliation. Outside, Paul inhales the city's air like it belongs to him. Towers glitter beneath the dying sun, and for him they shine brighter than ever. Richard Hale's empire has fallen into his hands, and he intends to squeeze it until the world kneels. His father's mantra pulses in his head, cold and commanding. Control the game. Own the board. Take everything. Across town, his sister stumbles through streets that don't care if she exists. Her phone is silent. Friends vanish when fortune fades. The mansion is Paul's. The accounts are Paul's. Even the car she once drove has been repossessed in his name. Stripped of everything, she spends the night in a motel where the wallpaper peels and the mattress sags. She cries into her pillow, tasting salt and bitterness, whispering to herself that she will survive. Somehow, some way. But despair has a louder voice. Paul throws a lavish dinner to celebrate his inheritance. Crystal glasses clink, laughter flows. The city's elite gather in his new mansion. Every corner drips with extravagance, chandeliers, marble floors, imported wines. Women linger near him, men flatter him, and he accepts it all with the ease of someone born to rule. He raises his glass and toasts to the future. His sister, meanwhile, eats from a vending machine, coins scraped together from her purse. The chocolate bar tastes stale, but it keeps her alive for another day. She scrolls through her phone, each headline a knife. Paul Hale inherits $40 million empire. His picture everywhere, smiling, victorious, untouchable. She throws the phone onto the bed, rage bubbling beneath her grief. Tears blur her vision, but behind them something harder stirs. Resentment. Night falls over the city. Paul stands at the window of his penthouse, whiskey in hand, staring at the lights like they exist to serve him. He feels unstoppable, untouchable. The empire is his. The city is his. The future is his. Yet deep inside, a faint unease scratches at him. Empires built on cruelty attract enemies. Even the weakest, when cornered, learn how to bite. His sister lies awake in her motel room, staring at the cracked ceiling. Sleep refuses to come. Her mind replays her father's coldness, Paul's laugh, the lawyer's final words. Over and over, a loop that cuts her deeper with each pass. She clutches the pillow, her whispers filling the silence. I will survive, I will. You'll regret this, Paul. And then, 3 knocks on the door. Slow, deliberate, heavy. She bolts upright, heart racing. Nobody knows she's here. Nobody should. She stares at the door, paralyzed. The knocks come again, harder this time. She rises, each step toward the door shaking her to her core. She presses her ear to the wood. Silence, she whispers, barely audible. Who's there? No answer. Her hand hovers over the knob. She twists it slowly, metal grinding. The door creaks open an inch. The hallway is empty, dead still. Relief floods her for a second, until she looks down. An envelope lies on the floor, thick, sealed. Her name scrawled across it in bold, black ink. She snatches it, shuts the door, bolts it, and tears the seal. Inside, a single sheet of paper. No greeting, no signature. Just 7 words written in jagged handwriting. Paul Hale does not deserve the throne. Her blood runs cold. The paper trembles in her hands. Someone knows. Someone is watching. And someone has just thrown her the first lifeline. But is it salvation or a trap? The paper trembles in her hand. 7 words stare back at her, each one burning into her mind. Paul Hale does not deserve the throne. Her breath hitches, her chest tightening as if invisible hands squeeze the air out of her lungs. She reads it again and again, desperate for hidden meaning, but the message is plain. Someone knows. Someone agrees. Someone has singled her out. She rises from the bed, pacing the room, the paper still clutched in her fist. Questions swirl like a storm. Who left this? How did they find her? Why her? Was it pity or something darker? She peeks through the window blinds at the empty parking lot below. A flickering streetlight throws shadows across cracked asphalt. Every figure looks suspicious, every shadow a threat. Her phone buzzes suddenly, the sound making her jump. She snatches it up. A text flashes across the screen. Read the letter carefully. Tomorrow at midnight, room 209, Grandview Hotel. Come alone. Her hands go cold. Paul, across town, reclines in his penthouse, the city at his feet. The party has long ended, but the taste of victory still lingers. He swirls the amber liquid in his glass, watching the reflection of the skyline. He imagines his father watching from the grave, proud that the empire is in strong hands. But unease gnaws at him again, faint yet persistent. He brushes it off. Envy always follows the successful. His sister will vanish into obscurity, and the world will forget her soon enough. But outside his walls, whispers are already forming. The next day crawls for her. Every hour drags under the weight of the letter and the text. She goes about small tasks, buying cheap food, sitting in a cafe with hollow eyes, but her mind never strays far from room 209. She thinks of danger, of traps, of Paul's possible schemes. Yet deep down, something else grows, hope. Maybe this is her chance. Maybe someone wants to help her fight back. Night falls, heavy and tense. The Grandview Hotel looms tall and weathered, neon sign buzzing faintly against the dark sky. She stands across the street, hood pulled low, heart pounding. For long minutes she debates turning back. But then Paul's laugh echoes in her mind, sharp and cruel, and her fists tighten. She crosses the street. Inside, the hotel smells of damp carpet and cigarettes. The receptionist barely looks up as she walks past. She counts the doors until she reaches 209. Her hand trembles as she lifts it to knock, but the door creaks open before she can touch it. A man stands inside, tall, shoulders broad, his face hidden beneath the shadow of a cap. His voice is low, measured. "Come in, quickly." She hesitates. The hallway feels too quiet, too watchful. But something in his tone, steady, certain, pushes her inside. The door shuts behind her with a soft click. The room is dim, lit only by the glow of a single lamp. The man removes his cap. His face is sharp, hardened by years of struggle. Scars cross his skin like stories untold. He studies her with eyes that burn with purpose. "You don't know me," he says, "but I knew your father." Her stomach knots. "Who are you?" "Someone who should have inherited what Paul stole. Someone who watched your father build an empire on the backs of others. He thought Paul was strong, but Paul is reckless. He will destroy everything." Her voice shakes. "Why involve me?" "Because Paul left you nothing. That makes you dangerous to him, even if you don't realize it. You have nothing to lose, and people with nothing to lose are the most powerful." She stares, trying to read his intent. His words cut deep, stirring both fear and resolve. "What do you want from me?" He leans closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Help me take him down." Her breath stops. The walls seem to close in. This man is offering vengeance, rebellion, a path she never imagined. But her mind flashes with danger. Paul is ruthless. Crossing him means risking everything, even her life. The man slides a folder across the table. Inside are documents, proof of things Paul has done, things that can bury him if exposed. But I can't do it alone. You're his blood, his sister. People will listen to you. You can get close where I can't. Her fingers hover over the folder, trembling. She wants to open it, to see the truth, but fear chains her hands. "You're lying," she whispers. "This could be a trap." He shakes his head. "Open it and decide for yourself. But once you do, there's no turning back." Silence fills the room. Her heartbeat thunders in her ears. Finally, she opens the folder. Inside, photographs, bank statements, contracts. Paul's empire painted in corruption, fraudulent accounts, illegal trades, evidence that could shatter everything he built. Her breath catches. It's real, all of it. The man leans back, watching her reaction. You wanted survival. This is more. This is justice. Maybe even revenge. She looks up, her eyes glistening with a mix of fear and fire. If Paul finds out, he won't. Not if we're careful. Her fists tighten around the documents. For the first time since her father's death, she feels something other than despair. Power. But outside the hotel, in the shadows of the street, a figure watches. A phone lifts, a picture snaps. The sister and the scarred man in room 209. Up, message is typed and sent. She's moving against him, and miles away in his penthouse, Paul's phone buzzes. He reads the message. His jaw tightens. His smirk vanishes. Interesting, he mutters. For the first time, the king feels the faint sting of threat. Paul stares at his phone. The screens glow, reflecting off his glass of whiskey. The message is short, almost harmless in appearance, but every word is poison. She's moving against him. His smirk fades, replaced by a cold, razor-sharp focus. The game has shifted, and Paul knows one truth better than anyone. Those who dare to challenge a king must be crushed before they rise. He sets the glass down, the ice clinking like distant bells of warning. He dials a number. A voice answers immediately. Yes, Mr. Hale. Paul's tone is calm, almost too calm. I want eyes on my sister. Everywhere she goes, everyone she meets. If she breathes differently, I want to know about it. And if she makes a mistake, you know what to do. The line goes dead. Paul leans back, staring at the ceiling. He thinks of his father, of the legacy he has sworn to protect, of the empire that now bears only his name. He will not lose it, not to outsiders, and certainly not to his own blood. Across the city in the dim motel room, she stares at the folder spread across the bed. Each page screams with betrayal, Paul's fraud, his illegal deals, his secret accounts, The scarred man watches from the chair, silent, patient, letting her absorb the weight of what she now holds. Finally, she looks up. Her voice is low, trembling but laced with fire. If this is real, he can't stay in power. Someone has to see this. The man nods slowly. But the world doesn't care about truth. It cares about leverage. Proof only matters if the right people receive it. She swallows hard. And you think I'm the one who can deliver it? You're his sister. They'll listen to you. Journalists, regulators, investors, they'll hear you in ways they'll never hear me. You're the key, but you must be ready. Once you step forward, Paul won't hesitate. He'll come for you. Her stomach knots. She imagines Paul's face. The coldness in his eyes as he refused her even a penny, the cruelty in his laugh. She knows the man her brother has become, merciless, untouchable. The thought of standing against him terrifies her. Yet the thought of living in his shadow, erased and forgotten, terrifies her more. She closes the folder. What's the first step? The scarred man leans forward, his gaze unyielding. Expose a fracture in his armor. Something small but loud enough to rattle him. Make the world doubt him. Once doubt spreads, the rest will follow. The next morning, Paul walks into his office tower, the building humming with activity. Employees rise as he enters, their greetings polite but tinged with fear. He basks in it, the way his presence bends the room. But as he steps into his office, his secretary hesitates, her expression uneasy. Sir, you might want to see this. She hands him a newspaper. Today's edition, the ink still smelling fresh. Paul snatches it, scanning the front page. His jaw tightens. His photo fills the cover, bold headline screaming, "Hail Empire built on fraud." Anonymous whistleblower leaks documents. The room tilts. For a moment, Paul is frozen. Then his fist slams the desk, the sound reverberating through the glass walls. Employees outside flinch but keep their heads down. He tears through the article. The documents, real ones but partial, are laid bare. Enough to raise suspicion, to ignite chatter, but not enough to topple him completely. It's a spark, not yet a fire. Still, it is more than he expected. Paul's eyes darken. Only one person had reason to do this. Only one person with motive and bloodline. His sister. He dials the same number as before. She's behind this, he growls. Bring her to me. I don't care how. Tonight. She doesn't know the article is out until she steps into a cafe, seeking cheap coffee to calm her nerves. The headlines glare at her from the TV above the counter. Paul's face fills the screen. The words fraud and corruption scrolling across the ticker. Customers murmur, pointing, debating. Some doubt, some sneer, some laugh. Her heart races. It worked. The first fracture has formed. Paul is rattled. For the first time, she feels not powerless, but dangerous. The scarred man joins her at the corner table, his presence unnoticed by others. The spark has been lit. Now we wait for his reaction. She sips her coffee, hands trembling. And when he reacts, the man's eyes harden. That's when the real war begins. Night falls. Rain lashes against the city streets, neon lights bleeding into puddles. She returns to her motel, exhaustion pressing heavy on her bones. She locks the door, double-checks the windows, spreads the folder back out on the bed. She doesn't hear the footsteps in the hallway, doesn't see the shadow lingering outside her door. 3 sharp knocks. Her blood runs cold. She freezes, staring at the door, every nerve screaming. She whispers, "Who is it?" Silence answers. The lock clicks, not from her hand, but from the other side. The door creaks open. 2 men in black suits step inside, faces expressionless, eyes empty. Behind them, the hallway light casts a silhouette she knows too well. Broad shoulders, cold presence, dominance that fills the room without a word. Paul. Her breath shatters. He steps into the room, calm, controlled, like a predator walking into his cage. His eyes sweep across the documents on the bed, then rise to meet hers. "You really thought," his voice cuts like a blade, "that you could come for me?" The rain outside intensifies, thunder cracking overhead. The walls feel smaller, the air suffocating. Paul steps closer, his men blocking the door. She's cornered, trapped, no escape. And Paul's eyes burn with something darker than greed, betrayal's wrath. The motel room shrinks around her as Paul takes another step forward. The thunder outside cracks like the heavens themselves are warning her. But his men block every exit. His eyes gleam cold, predatory, like he already owns this moment. She forces herself to stand tall even though her knees shake. "You stole everything. You left me with nothing. Did you think I would just disappear?" Paul smirks, a cruel curl of the lips. "Disappear? That was the idea. But instead you crawl back, waving scraps of paper. Thinking you can burn down what I built? You've always been weak, always dependent. And weakness doesn't deserve inheritance. It deserves extinction." Her breath catches. For a fleeting second, she wonders if this is where it ends. Her brother's hands closing around her life, like he closed around their father's fortune. The scarred man had warned her. Paul would strike fast, without hesitation. She glances at the folder on the bed. The proof of Paul's empire. And something inside her hardens. If she goes down tonight, she won't go down silent. Paul gestures with his hand, a casual flick. And one of the suited men steps forward. His expression is dead, his eyes void of pity. He reaches for her arm. She reacts on instinct, snatching the ceramic lamp from the nightstand and smashing it across his skull. The bulb bursts, glass flying, sparks hissing in the damp air. The man stumbles, clutching his head. Paul's smirk vanishes, replaced by rage. "Grab her!" The second man lunges, but she's already moving, heart pounding like war drums. She dives for the folder, clutching it to her chest, then shoves past him. His hand grazes her jacket, but she slips free, kicking the chair into his path. Paul shouts, voice thunderous, "Do not let her leave this room." She bursts into the hallway, rain hammering against the cracked window at the far end. Neon light flickers, casting the corridor in a sickly glow. She sprints, lungs burning, folder pressed tight against her. Behind her, heavy footsteps pound. The men are fast, relentless. Paul's voice echoes down the hall. "Bring me that folder, alive or dead." "I don't care." Her hands fumble for the fire exit door. She slams it open, the alarm blaring, and the cold night rain hits her face like knives. She stumbles down the metal staircase, nearly slipping, the city roaring below. One of the men crashes through behind her, metal rattling as he descends. She pushes harder, adrenaline dragging her body forward. Her foot hits the last step wrong. She trips, tumbling into a puddle. Pain explodes through her shoulder. The folder flies from her hands, pages scattering in the wind, plastering themselves to the wet ground. The man looms over her, reaching down to drag her up. Suddenly, headlights slice through the rain. A car skids into the alley, tires screaming. The scarred man leaps out, a pistol in his hand, eyes blazing with purpose. He fires into the air, 2 deafening shots. The suited men hesitate, retreating toward the shadows. The one nearest her curses and bolts back up the staircase. Paul emerges at the top landing, his silhouette sharp against the neon sky. He glares down at her, rain dripping from his face. His voice carries through the storm. "You can't run from me. You're mine, always." The scarred man grabs her arm, hauling her to her feet. "Move!" They dive into the car as Paul's men regroup at the staircase. Tires squeal, the engine roars, and the vehicle shoots into the night. Paul remains on the landing, watching, memorizing. He doesn't chase, not yet. His eyes burn with calculation. Inside the car, she clutches the half-soaked folder, gasping for breath. He found me. He was right there. If you hadn't. The scarred man cuts her off, eyes fixed on the road. You need to understand something. Paul doesn't make threats. He makes promises. Now he won't stop until either you're in the ground or he is. She shivers, pressing the wet pages tighter to her chest. The rain pounds against the windshield like a countdown clock. The scarred man takes a hard turn, eyes narrowing. You've crossed the line. There's no going back. The only question is, how far are you willing to go? Her throat tightens. She stares at the folder, at the proof of Paul's corruption. Then out the window at the city swallowing them whole. Fear claws at her, but so does something else, anger. The anger of years of silence, of being erased, of being laughed at. Her voice is steady when she finally answers. As far as it takes. The scarred man nods once, grim approval in his eyes. But neither of them notices the unmarked black SUV that slides into traffic behind them. Headlights dim, keeping distance. In the back seat of that SUV sits another figure, calm, composed, speaking into a phone. We have her. Awaiting Paul's orders. Thunder splits the sky again, and the city seems to hold its breath. Rain still hisses on the windshield. As the scarred man's car cuts through the city's veins, neon bleeding across slick asphalt. She presses herself against the seat, clutching the half-soaked folder like it's oxygen. Her heart won't slow. Paul's voice still echoes in her skull. You're mine, always. The scarred man drives in silence, eyes darting from mirror to mirror. His hands grip the wheel tight, knuckles pale under the shifting glow of streetlights. He finally speaks, voice flat, deliberate. We can't go back to the motel. It's burned. He'll have it swarming with men by now. She swallows, throat raw. Then where? Where can we go that he won't find us? The scarred man doesn't answer right away. His silence says more than words. There are no safe places. Not anymore. Across town, Paul stands at the top floor of his tower, drenched suit clinging to him, whiskey untouched on the desk. The city stretches beneath him like prey awaiting slaughter. His men hover at a distance, nervous, careful not to breathe too loud. He turns slowly, his expression unreadable, and asks one simple question. Where is she now? One of the men clears his throat. Sir, she escaped with him. We're tracking the vehicle, but... Paul's voice cuts him clean. No excuses, no delays. I want every camera, every plate reader, every eye on this city watching for her. Every street corner, every shadow. Lock it down. If she thinks she can run, make the city itself betray her. The man nods and scurries away. Paul turns back to the window. Rain streaks the glass like veins of silver. His reflection stares back, sharp, merciless, patient. She thinks she can play war, he murmurs. Let's give her a battlefield. The scarred man pulls the car into a dimly lit parking garage. He kills the engine, the silence heavy and hostile. She looks at him, nerves fraying. Why are we stopping? He scans the levels around them, eyes narrow. Because Paul has the streets. Cameras, scanners, informants. Driving blind only makes us targets. We need to go to ground, walk where machines can't track us. Her chest tightens. Walk? With him hunting me? He looks at her, and there's no softness in his eyes. You wanted this fight. This is the cost. She stares at the folder in her lap, the papers warped and bleeding ink. Proof of Paul's empire. Proof that could destroy him. Her fear gnaws at her, but so does something fiercer. Rage. She exhales slowly. Fine, then where do we walk to? The scarred man leans closer, voice low. There's someone in this city who hates Paul as much as you do. Someone who has been waiting for a reason to strike. We find him. We give him the proof, and we watch Paul's empire burn. Before she can reply, a metallic clang echoes through the garage. Her head jerks up. Shadows move between the concrete pillars. The scarred man's hand goes to his pistol instantly. He whispers, "Too late." Figures step into view, black suits blending with the darkness. Eyes cold, 5, 6, 7 of them. A circle closing in. Paul's men. Her pulse explodes. She clutches the folder tighter, panic clawing. The scarred man stays calm, raising the gun, voice steady. "Stay behind me." "Don't move unless I say." The leader of the suited men steps forward, rain dripping from his shoulders, voice flat. "You come with us. Both of you. No mess, no blood. Or we drag you." The scarred man's lip curls. "Tell Paul he should have sent more." The silence before the storm. Then chaos erupts. Gunfire cracks like thunder, muzzle flashes slicing the dark. Concrete chips explode from pillars. The scarred man moves like a predator, precise, merciless, dropping 2 before they touch their triggers. She scrambles, ducking behind a car, covering her head as sparks and bullets scream past. The folder slips from her grip, pages scattering across oil-stained concrete. Her eyes lock on them, Paul's empire blowing away into shadows. She crawls forward, desperate, stretching for the papers even as boots pound closer. A hand clamps her wrist, yanking her up. One of Paul's men, face hard, breath foul. He hisses, "Paul wants you alive, but I don't mind if you arrive broken." Terror surges, but then a shot rings. His grip loosens, and he drops. The scarred man yanks her away, pulling her behind a pillar. "Forget the papers, move!" But she can't. Her eyes stay locked on the folder, pages fluttering under a black SUV's tires. Proof that could destroy Paul, lost if she runs now. The scarred man shakes her, growling, "You want to die here? Make a choice!" Her heart tears between survival and justice, between escape and war. And then headlights blaze at the far end of the garage. Another vehicle screeches in, bigger, armored, doors swinging open. She recognizes the man who steps out even through the chaos, broad frame, dark eyes that burn with hatred. Not Paul, someone else, someone who looks at the scattered folder like it's treasure. The scarred man curses under his breath. Of all the devils in this city, it had to be him. The newcomer smiles, rain dripping from his jaw. "Looks like I arrived just in time." The battlefield freezes for a heartbeat, both sides unsure who this man serves. Then he speaks again, voice smooth as a blade. "Paul Hale doesn't own everything." "Not yet." Gunsmoke lingers in the stale air of the parking garage, the echoes of shots still trembling against concrete. Her breath rasps, chest heaving, eyes darting between Paul's fallen men and the towering figure now approaching. Through the mist of headlights, the scarred man steps in front of her, pistol raised, his body tense as a steel trap. "Stay back," he growls. The newcomer only smirks, his heavy boots crunching over broken glass and scattered shell casings. His voice rolls out calm, unhurried, but sharp enough to cut through the chaos. "Relax. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be bleeding. I'm here for something else." His gaze shifts to the folder, its soaked pages scattered beneath a black SUV tire, ink bleeding into the ground like secrets dissolving into the earth. He crouches, plucks a page, scans it quickly, then chuckles low. "Well, well." The great Paul Hale finally bleeds. The scarred man's grip tightens on his weapon. "Who the hell are you?" The man rises slowly, eyes glinting. "Names don't matter tonight. What matters is that I hate Paul more than you ever could. And you," his eyes snap to her, piercing, unblinking, "might just be the knife I need." Her throat tightens. She clutches the folder fragments she managed to save, the weight of them heavier than gold. "Why? Why would you want to help me?" The man steps closer, ignoring the scarred man's drawn gun. His presence is suffocating, a storm wrapped in flesh. "Because Paul Hale ruined more lives than yours. He devoured companies, crushed families, erased enemies. I was one of them. He thought he buried me, but here I am, breathing. And here you are, his blood carrying proof. Together, we can cut him down. His words drip with conviction, but beneath them lies something colder, an edge too sharp to trust. The scarred man spits the words like poison. You're not here for justice. You're here to take his empire for yourself. The rival smiles wider, teeth catching the light. Maybe, but does it matter? If Paul falls, you get your vengeance. I get what's left. Everyone wins. The scarred man snarls, raising the pistol higher. I'd rather burn everything than trade one devil for another. Tension thickens, 3 lives balanced on a blade. She stands frozen between them. The folder pressed to her chest, her pulse hammering. 2 men, both dangerous, both willing to fight Paul, but for reasons that terrify her. Her voice cracks the silence. Stop, both of you. They turn, eyes heavy with expectation. She forces herself to stand straighter, her fear smothered beneath years of humiliation. I don't care about empires. I don't care about power. I just want him stripped of everything he stole. If you help me do that, I'll listen. But if either of you think I'll be your pawn, you're wrong. For a moment, only the rain tapping against metal fills the air. Then the rival laughs, deep and genuine, startling in its rawness. She has fire. I like that. He steps back, raising his hands in mock surrender. Very well. An alliance, not servitude. You bring the bloodline and the proof. I bring the muscle and resources. Together we break Paul Hale in half. The scarred man doesn't lower his gun. His eyes bore into her, warning unspoken. Don't trust him. But even he knows the truth. Without allies, Paul's reach is unstoppable. The rival extends his hand to her, palm open, waiting. His smile is charming, but his eyes are the eyes of a man who is killed without blinking. The scarred man whispers harshly at her side. Don't. The moment you take it, you'll never be free of him. She stares at the hand, her breath shallow, her heart tearing. Trust the scarred man, her reluctant protector, or gamble on this rival whose hatred of Paul burns as bright as her own. The choice weighs like chains, but somewhere in her gut, she knows. Alliances with devils are the only way to topple kings. Slowly, trembling, she lifts her hand, inches from his. Suddenly, headlights flare again, brighter than before, blinding. Another vehicle screeches into the garage, black and armored. Doors slam, boots thunder. More men spill out, Paul's reinforcements, guns raised, voices barking. The rival curses, drawing a knife in one fluid motion. Too late for choices. Now we fight. Gunfire erupts, sparks exploding against concrete. The scarred man yanks her down behind a pillar, bullets screaming overhead. And in the chaos, her hand finds the rivals, not in agreement, but in survival. The garage erupts in chaos. Muzzle flashes strobe against wet concrete, shadows convulsing with every shot. The crack of rifles, the scream of ricochets, the acrid bite of gunpowder. War has arrived. Not in whispers, but in thunder. She huddles behind a pillar, her breath ragged, clutching the torn remnants of the folder against her chest as if they can shield her from bullets. The scarred man crouches beside her, jaw clenched, firing measured bursts into the storm. Each squeeze of the trigger is precise, a dance of survival he has long mastered. The rival moves like a phantom. No gun in his hand, only a knife gleaming with rain and neon. He slips through the shadows, silent and merciless, cutting throats, plunging steel into ribs, disappearing before bodies hit the ground. Where the scarred man is discipline, the rival is chaos incarnate. Paul's reinforcements flood the garage, black suits and rifles, their shouts echoing like drums of conquest. They move in waves, relentless, trying to box the 3 of them in. But the storm does not break them. Above it all, Paul arrives. He doesn't rush. He doesn't need to. He descends the concrete ramp with the composure of a king walking into his throne room. His eyes sweep the battlefield, his men clashing with shadows, bullets slicing the air, betrayal dripping from every corner, and his jaw tightens. The scarred man spots him first. His voice cuts through the noise, low and urgent in her ear. There he is, the Viper himself. Her eyes follow, locking on her brother. For a moment the world slows. Rain falls heavy, time stretches thin, and she sees not the titan of industry, not the untouchable king, but her brother, the boy who once shared their father's table, the boy who laughed as he stole everything, the boy who cast her into nothing. Her pulse pounds with fury. The rival emerges from the smoke, blood splattered across his jacket, knife still dripping. His lips curl into a grin as his eyes land on Paul. Finally, Paul's gaze flicks from one to the other, his broken sister, the scarred hound at her side, the rival he thought buried. Recognition flares, then fury. His voice booms across the garage, iron and venom. You think you can unite against me? You think scraps of paper and old grudges will tear me down? He spreads his arms, the storm of violence bending around his presence. I am Hail. I am Empire. And you, his eyes spear into hers. You are nothing. The words cut deeper than bullets. But this time she doesn't flinch. She rises from cover, folder clutched. Rain streaming down her face, her voice raw but unshaking. Not nothing. Not anymore. Paul's face twists. He gestures sharply, and his men surge forward. The garage becomes a slaughterhouse. The scarred man empties his magazine, grabs her hand, drags her deeper into the maze of pillars and shadows. The rival slips ahead, striking from darkness, his laughter unholy against the screams of Paul's soldiers. She clutches the folder, ducking bullets, her lungs burning. But somewhere within the terror, a strange clarity blooms. She sees the battlefield not as chaos, but as truth. Paul is not untouchable. He bleeds, his empire cracks. And tonight, the cracks widen. They fight their way toward the exit ramp. But Paul blocks the path, flanked by his strongest guards. He draws a pistol from his coat, sleek, polished, a weapon of authority rather than desperation. He levels it at her, his hand steady, his eyes colder than the storm outside. This ends now, Paul hisses. The rival bursts from the side, knife flashing. Paul spins, fires, gunshot tearing the air, knife slicing past his ribs. The rival stumbles, blood spraying, but he grins even as he falters. You're not immortal, Paul. The scarred man tackles her to the ground as bullets scream overhead. They crash behind a wrecked car, steel shielding them from death. He grips her shoulders, shouting over the roar. This is your moment. If you want him destroyed, it has to be now. Decide, fight or run. Her chest heaves. Her mind burns. Years of silence, years of humiliation, years of being erased, they all condense into this breath, this heartbeat, this choice. She stands. Clutching the folder high, she screams into the chaos, her voice piercing through rain and fire. The truth is here. Paul Hale is a fraud, a thief, a coward hiding behind money and guns. Her words echo across the garage, over cameras recording, over phones live streaming, over witnesses too afraid until now. Paul's empire is being exposed not in whispers but in thunder. Paul roars in rage, raising his gun. The scarred man fires. The rival lunges. Time fractures, gunshot, knife, blood, a scream swallowed by thunder. The garage falls silent at last. Rain hisses, bodies litter the concrete, smoke coils in the air. She stands trembling, folder clutched to her chest, eyes locked on the scene before her. Paul lies sprawled, gun slipping from his hand, blood seeping across the ground like spilled fortune. His eyes flicker, still burning with defiance even as life drains. He locks on her, lips curling into one final whisper. This isn't over. And then his chest stills. She stares, breath broken, knees weak. The scarred man steps beside her, lowering his gun, face unreadable. The rival bleeding but alive. leans against a pillar, his smile faint but feral. "The king is dead," he murmurs. "Long live the war." Her heart seizes. War. Even with Paul gone, the storm is far from finished. His empire remains, billions in assets, armies of loyal men, secrets buried in vaults. Power does not vanish with one man. It shifts, it waits. She realizes then, defeating Paul was not the end. It was only the beginning. The scarred man meets her gaze, his voice low, final. "You wanted justice. Now you hold an empire. What you do with it will decide if tonight was victory or the first step into hell." The folder feels heavier than ever in her hands. The rain pours harder, the night stretching wide, uncertain. And somewhere in the distance sirens wail, carrying the promise of questions, of reckoning, of battles yet to come. The storm is not over. It has only begun.